Hi everyone, it's Sabrah from Love English here, your British University English teacher. So how is your English, guys? Are you speaking English well? Or do you think your English is good? Or maybe like so many other learners, you're still having some problems understanding the difference between good and well. Now these may seem like quite simple words, so you may think, why am I not getting these correct? Or you may think you are getting them correct. However, the difference between them is a little bit complicated at times. So I still hear students, even at advanced levels, making mistakes with these two words. But today I'm going to make it crystal clear for you and you are going to master it. As always guys, if you haven't already, then do subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss a video, especially if you click the notification bell, and then you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. So it's a really good idea. Also, you can follow us guys on our social media, where we also give you daily vocabulary, tips on learning English. So make sure you check us out there. And if you're interested in joining the Love English Club a little bit more, you can actually support us on Patreon. There are different options to support us on Patreon, but if you choose to support us monthly, then you will get things like PDFs of our lessons and a thank you video from us and other goodies. And supporting us guys really does mean that we can spend more time dedicating to making excellent videos for you guys, so we can help you to master the English language. So do think about that guys, the link is in the description box below. Right, good or well? The first thing to say about this guys is that good is actually an adjective and well is an adverb. Now to go back to basics, an adjective goes with a noun and an adverb goes with a verb. The adjective tells us more about the noun and the adverb tells us more about the verb. If you listen, adverb, we add it to the verb. So in the case of the adjective, we might say, oh, that was a really good film. What a good story, describing the noun. In the case of the adverb, we describe the verb. So we might say, the story was well written. They wrote it well. There we are describing write, the verb. We're telling how well they did it, how well they wrote it. So adverbs go with the verb. So some more examples would be, I speak English well. She dances so well. You can't say, I speak English good, or she dances so good. That is grammatically incorrect. But if you're talking about a noun, you need to use the adjective. So you can say, my English is good, because English is a noun. You could also say, that restaurant is so good. Leila's a good teacher. In all of those sentences, we're describing the noun, so we don't need to use well. Let's compare these two sentences. My father is a good cook. Here we are describing cook. He is a cook, a good cook. So we don't need to use well. If we use well, we would say, my father can cook very well. Typically, adverbs come after the verbs, and adjectives come before nouns. But be careful with this rule, as this is a complicated grammar area and it isn't always the case. Okay, so that's simple, right? So far so good? I think it's going quite well. Well, you may think that, but actually there are a few complications with this, which is why learners still make mistakes at advanced levels. First of all, one of the exceptions is that we can use good to describe some state verbs. Because we are describing a state of being, not an action, so for example, it is correct to say, I feel good today, even though we're describing a verb. You can also say, this restaurant seems good. That is all correct. We're describing a state of being. So that's one of the exceptions. Another thing which might confuse you is that you'll often see good at and then an action, like I'm good at playing football. Here we're describing the state of being good at playing football. But it would be a mistake to think that you could put, I'm well at playing football. You can't do that because well must connect directly with a verb because it's an adverb, it's not actually an adjective like good is. So you would have to change the sentence if you want to use an adverb and you would have to say, I play football well. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing, but you can say I'm good at playing, I'm good at doing. That is correct because you're describing the state of being. That's the first exception. The second thing is that well can actually be an adjective where it talks about health. So it's two meanings really of this word. If I say I'm well, I mean I'm healthy. If I say my mother's well, my father's well, I'm talking about their health. So you can actually say I'm good and I'm well. Both are correct because they are both adjectives here. So if someone asks you, how are you? It is correct to say I'm good or I'm well. Okay, I hope you're with me so far, guys, and that isn't too complicated. We're going to try a little test now to see how much you've learned from this lesson. So I've got 5 questions for you to see how well you've understood. Number 1. My teacher teaches English, so... What do you think it is, guys? Of course, it is well, because we are describing the verb teaching. My teacher teaches English so well. Number 2. Her fashion sense is so... What do you think this is? It is her fashion sense is so good. Here we are describing the noun phrase fashion sense. So we're describing a noun, so we need the adjective. Her fashion sense is so good. Number 3. He's really at sports. He's really at sports. What do you think this one is? It is he's really good at sports, because here we're describing the state. So he's really good at sports. If you want to change it to well, what would you do? You would need to say he plays sports well. Number 4. My Spanish lessons are going... This is my Spanish lessons are going well. They are going well, okay? We're describing how well they're going, the verb, they're going well. Number 5. My mother doesn't feel today. My mother doesn't feel today. What could this be? Actually, in this last one, both are correct. My mother doesn't feel good, yeah, or she doesn't feel well. Both are correct because both are adjectives. My mother doesn't feel good and she doesn't feel well. However, there is a slight change in meaning. My mother doesn't feel good could be that she doesn't feel good mentally. My mother doesn't feel well is probably more about her physical health. Being well is more about our physical health, but if we say we don't feel good, this can be about our mental health, our mood as well. Okay, everybody, we've come to the end of that explanation of the difference between good and well. I hope you understood it well. Please do feel free to ask me any questions you may have in the comments below, and also try writing some sentences using good and well and comparing the two in the comments below, and I will check those for you. As always, guys, it's a pleasure to be with you, and we'll see you soon on Love English. Bye-bye. This Magnum is so good. I'm so good at food shopping. I did really well.